I am resident of Collinwood, Jewel Sayings for YouTube. This is my buddy Patrick McCray. This is my buddy Gordon Dymowski. We're here to talk The Dark Knight. Again, starring Christian Bale. Heath Ledger is in this, and sadly he's going to pass away, which sucked. So, guys, Heath Ledger did win an Oscar for this performance as the Joker. That's something I want to tackle first. What did you guys think of Heath Ledger's The Joker?
I think he deserves a little more respect than the reaction to it sucked at his passing, because it was, by all accounts, it was an accident. It wasn't something that was deliberate. I think he did a great job as the Joker. I think the only thing that kind of leaves a slightly bad taste in my mouth, and it's the circumstance, is that he became, his performance became the launch pad for basically a bunch of edgelords who maybe didn't see the movie and didn't get the point.
Yeah. Patrick?
He's no Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
But he's very good. I have to ask, what do they ascribe his death to?
Basically, accidentally overdosing on medication. In fact, let me go check that, because I could be wrong. That's right, friends. Resident of Collinwood. I'm one of the few people who will actually admit they're wrong on this podcast. There's only one other, and his name is, it's Patrick. But anyway, okay.
Have you seen how tall Jewel is? He's a big man.
Ledger's death was attributed to an accidental overdose.
Yeah.
What was he attempting to treat?
Insomnia. He was taking Ambien.
Yeah.
You know how I fight insomnia? Mint tea.
Who?
Mint tea.
Mint tea. Really?
Yes. Yeah, I have a cup, and sometimes it's chamomile. I have a cup of chamomile, which is also good for getting people to sleep.
Yeah.
Nice. We also get the mob in this movie as well. Maroney is in this movie, played by Eric. What's his name?
Eric Roberts.
Yes. Eric Roberts is in this movie. I remember him from the Best of the Best movies, which were martial arts movies. But he's in this movie as a gangster. What did you guys think of Eric Roberts in this movie?
He's the brother of Julia Roberts, right?
Right.
He was the master in the Fox TV version of Doctor Who. He's a good actor. He's a very solid actor. Now, his sister looks like the Joker when she's smiling. Think about that. Look at something like Pretty Woman and all of that. Look at that and just go into Photoshop. It's eerie.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't hire her for this movie, because it would be typecasting.
I'm just saying, you give me Julia Roberts with Mark Hamill's voice, you got a Joker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Roberts too. He's one of those. I know that when he started out in the early '80s, he was like one of the big it guys. I mean, they talked about. No, actually, earlier than that.
Was he one of the Barry Levinson guys?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
But like he I think he was in The Falcon and the Snowman with Sean Penn. I mean, right. I think he had some kind of accident where it kind of derailed. It kind of took him off for a bit. But Eric Roberts is, now we kind of he kind of gets made fun of because he did movies like A Talking Cat. And now he does commercials for like walk-in tubs.
Those are noble things.
Yes. Now, we get a cast replacement in this movie. Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, plays Rachel Dawes in this movie. She replaces Katie Holmes. What did you guys think of her?
Both she and Katie Holmes are terrific. I think they're fine. I think, a perfectly decent substitute. I don't really see a lot of better or worse. Mm-hmm. I like them both.
Good.
Yeah, she doesn't really bring all that much different, except maybe a different haircut.
Yeah. I really...
Nose is different.
Mm-hmm.
Button.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed the hell out of Aaron Eckhart in this movie as Harvey Dent, Two-Face. I think it's one of the best portrayals we've gotten as for that character. No offense to the actor who played him in the first Batman movie.
Go ahead and offend him. He's a big boy. Tommy Lee Jones can take it.
No. Drew's referring to Billy D. Williams. He said the first Batman.
Billy D. Well, Billy D. would have been magnificent. God. Yeah. But it all comes down to the script also. I mean, this is a script that wrote Two-Face.
Yeah, it did. I would love to see Aaron Eckhart in a Silent Hill movie, playing a certain character named Jim Sunderland. That's just my opinion. Now, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but...
Well, he was in I, Frankenstein, so...
Well, if you ever play Silent Hill 2, he sort of looks like Sunderland. He's the right age for Sunderland now. So there is that.
Is there a God mode I can play those things on?
No.
Be
careful with the choices you make.
Are there cheat codes that you can kind of program them in so that you can go into God mode?
Why they've got to be. Come on.
Why do you need cheat codes for a horror game?
Because I just want to play the game. I want to be a tourist in the game. I don't want to be challenged by the game. There's enough challenge in life.
Actually, you could probably do, Patrick? Go on YouTube and look up Silent Hill 2 cutscenes.
Yeah, I know.
It's no fun with cheat codes. I've never played it.
Well, actually, it's a lot of fun with cheat codes because you can just the original Alien versus Predator game. You could it was great with cheat codes because if you were the Predator, normally you get a spear gun and it shoots one spear at a time. When you enter God mode, you basically get a ton of spears. So it's good for if you want to get rid of one of those face hugger things, just a whole bunch of spears in that'll kill it dead.
That's fun. I mean, Joel, that is a definition of fun. And if the authors of the game make it tacitly available, then it is an option they're giving you narratively.
Well, every game has cheat codes pretty much. So.
I mean, I don't have to set myself on fire to enjoy Angelique being, put up in flames. So there you go. That's a perfect analogy.
Oh my God. So,
perfect analogy.
What did you guys think of the plot of this movie?
It's very solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think for an existentialist villain who just wants to see George Burns or whatever, it's pretty solid. It keeps me watching through the whole film. The movie is not quite as feel good as Batman Begins, and I miss that about it. I don't think that the franchise has to be so gloomy. The whole idea for me, Batman's a symbol of hope. So seeing that start to erode away this quickly is kind of like in the Bond book world going from Casino Royale all the way to On Her Majesty's Secret Service or You Only Live Twice. Come on, there's a lot of stuff's got to happen in between.
Yeah, and I think the movie is trying to. Normally, Batman and Joker are set up as chaos versus order.
Yeah.
Evil versus good. I think here they were trying to set it up as Batman is optimism, Joker is nihilism.
He is, yeah.
And I think it's kind of why the movie, although I enjoy the movie, why I kind of have some real reservations about it, because I think it kind of ends with on a slightly hopeful note that, okay, they're not going to disparage Harvey's name, but Batman willingly says, "I'll be the bad guy," literally. But I think the fact that the Joker is, there's no sense of like the Joker's dealing with the consequences of his actions, because after it just feels like, okay, it ends, and because the Joker is so cool, as in KEWL.
Oh yeah.
It's the fact that a lot of people came away from this movie focusing on that, and not the fact that this guy was lashing out. This guy was just not, there were issues, and it's instead of, okay, yeah, nihilism is kind of a waste of time, it's like, oh yeah, he's so cool because he says cool stuff. And that's, I mean, you can't blame Ledger for it because he's doing his job. You can't blame the movie for it because they're trying to tell a different kind of Batman story. But I do blame all those idiots who watched this and thought, oh yeah, I gotta really do this, man. And then they go on the internet and they're like, oh yeah, this is so cool.
Oh, and then they paint up Obama like the Joker. That made no sense at all. Remember, this became this weird political thing?
Mm-hmm.
What was up with that?
They're edgelords. They do it because they can. I mean, it's...
I think what Nolan and Ledger did really well is they brought back the mystery of the Joker. Who is he? We don't know. We know he does random things just for the hell of it, and you never know what he's going to do next. And I really love that about this movie. I do think you have a very destructive character that he's playing, and he's supposed to be. I mean, what Cesar Romero doesn't get enough credit for is what Heath Ledger got credit for. Romero did random shit with the Joker. I mean, he didn't play the Joker wrong.
No,
he didn't.
And again, I think it's a fine line. It's not something you can point at Ledger and go, "Hey, look, he did that," or it's not the approach. What kind of leaves me a little cold about the movie? It has nothing to do with the movie.
Right.
It's some of the reaction and the conversation that happened around it. Because when you look at Joker, like he's talking about how at one point, like I think it was his father was doing rude stuff to him, and you get the sense that you're never quite sure if he's supposed to be saying that because he wants sympathy, or if he's saying that as kind of like a tossed off, and that's the way this Joker is.
I think his father's probably sewing his outfits back at home, saying, "Son, I wish you'd stop saying that stuff about me. I've always supported you."
Yeah, I mean that's
Jeez,
yeah,
Louise.
And the whole point of the movie is like, okay, you can either do the right thing or avoid it long enough so that you end up automatically blamed for doing the wrong thing. You can be the hero or you can die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
Which sounds great, but makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, I guess someone in history will find some way to look back on you and say, "Oh, not quite what he's cracked up to be." But
well, she wasn't a villain. I'll give a great example how people become vilified, right?
You're talking about Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son, right?
No.
Yeah. She deserves more respect than that, Joel. Seriously.
Joel, sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, okay. For example, though she wasn't a villain, Joan of Arc became vilified.
Well, to the English.
Well, okay. Still, she became vilified. She wasn't a villain, but she became vilified.
She's a war figure. I mean, she's going to be vilified by one side.
Right. That's sort of my okay. She's
and maybe let's like for me, like I said, it has nothing to do with the actual plot of the movie.
Right.
It's the reaction afterwards, because what a lot of people did, by people I mean young dudes, usually 25 and over, some older dudes decided that the Joker should always be, the Joker is not just doing chaotic things for fun. There are consequences involved. He has people on a boat that he's planning to blow up. He's blowing things up not for any other reason other than he just likes it. That's and I think that what for a lot of disaffected dudes, because most of them are dudes, thought, hey, he's doing random stuff. That's cool. It's kind of like the way that a lot of dudes kind of adapts, like South Park, because they'll say and do everything. It's that kind of cynicism about everything. Whereas when you look at the film, the Joker's the only person who's really cynical.
Yeah. A great point of what you're saying is there were people who looked at the Joker like, oh, he's our hero, though he isn't one, right? There were people who were doing that too. And I do think, like, when you watch this movie, you're right, the Joker is the one being cynical. The mob want one thing. They want Batman dead.
Right.
Okay, the Joker, what they don't realize is, and Michael Caine's Alfred McClue to this, they hired a man they didn't completely understand. And they don't understand him one goddamn bit.
Who hired who?
The mob, when they hired the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Caine makes reference to this in the movie. He says they turned to a man / hired they fully didn't understand. That's one of the most accurate lines in this movie that I love most, because he's absolutely right. They have no clue who they're dealing with or what they're dealing with the Joker.
I mean, you realize I hate to get political here, but you've just, and I'm not kidding, you've just encapsulated the phenomenon of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah, and in the movie, and I think this is a deleted scene, the reason why they hired the Joker was that they couldn't afford the Maytag repairman.
Wouldn't that have been great? Would it have been, who was it, Jesse White, the original Maytag repairman, or Gordon Jump, the Neo Maytag repairman?
I would say Jesse White.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I was about to say Eugene Roche, but he was the Ajax detergent guy. Dishes so clean,
mix those guys
they
up.
squeak. Yeah, that's that.
Who was the Tidy Bowl man? It was Ernest Tidyman, author of the Shaft books. No, he just had the word tidy in his name.
Didn't the guy who was on the show Eureka become the Maytag man? The guy who
yes.
Okay, all right.
There's a new one.
What's
wrong with Gordon Jump? Except he's
dead.
Dead. Yeah. Okay. Well, the Maytag
repairman
doesn't do anything. That's perfect.
Yeah, they used him as a couple of years ago, but it was more of it wasn't the Maytag repairman's the loneliest guy deal. It's like let's do wacky things with him. I think he only lasted like a year or so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a very funny ad would have been someone is sitting by the grave of Gordon Jump with a red phone, saying, he said he'd come back if some Maytag owner needed him. Another year goes by.
You know who they should have got for the new Maytag repairman?
Aaron Eckhart.
Red Green.
Oh, you mean is that his name? That's the character's name, right?
Yeah.
Red Green show. Yeah, it's Red Green is a Canadian humor show. Think of it as like Home Improvement except funny.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the Canadians have a good track record of taking, sort of American homegrown stuff and making it much better. Mm-hmm. So, SCTV.
He would have been
Kids in the Hall.
He would have been great for that. He's just, if you go watch the show, it's on Tubi, by the way.
Cause he got ahead.
Cause he got ahead.
Very funny.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
Oh, sweet minutes. Hang on.
Evil.
Evil in your face. That's what Tad says. Remember, somebody says evil in your face on Dark Shadows in 1840. I forget who, but I imagine Quentin saying, I hadn't heard Tad say that since he tried pate. Evil in your face. Dude, hang on. And we're back. Let's see if that works.
What's you guys' favorite scene in this movie?
Oh, anything with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, because it's nice that they kept up that kind of. Does he know? Does he not know?
Will they or won't they?
Yeah. And the scenes with Michael Caine are also good, but these are like. But this is what Nolan does. He puts together the best cast he can and kind of lets it rip.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is when Batman has to go after the guy who lives in China, and Bruce Wayne takes the Russian ballet and takes them with him on a trip, and Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel Dawes is just like shaking her head.
It's what Gene Rayburn would have done.
Mm-hmm.
I always laugh at that scene because it's very Bruce Wayne. Again, great, really well written scene. I think that's one of the best things I like about the Nolan trilogy is when you have an actor and writers who are playing, letting the characters be played very well because they're well written. It makes the movies fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, anytime you've got, especially Michael Caine or Morgan Freeman on screen, don't you just feel a sense of relaxation, a sense of, oh God, this scene's gonna go fine. I'm going to be with a nice person, and he's going to say clever and wise things. And he seems like they both project the quality of someone who would like you. Mm-hmm. And that's really valuable in an actor. And they have that just up one side and down the other.
Yeah, well, I can tell you Morgan Freeman does not like me because I keep calling him at 3 a.m. and telling him how great he was as Easy Rider on Electric Company.
He was. Why should
he's like,
just his
hey,
schedule?
Please stop calling me.
Please stop calling me.
What's you guys' favorite Morgan Freeman performance?
Easy Rider or Easy Reader.
Yeah.
Electric Company. I mean, he's good in everything, but he's always playing Morgan Freeman to one extent or another. I mean, I like him in Seven. He really has to work hard in Seven as an actor, and he does. I mean, I think probably the easiest movie he made was Shawshank Redemption, where he just gets to stroll on and say
wise things.
Yeah, and then stroll off again. It's like, that's another check.
A performance that I feel he doesn't get enough credit for, though it was a big movie and it won a lot of awards, won Best Picture, is in Unforgiven, where he plays where he plays an outlaw, and as they're going to go kill those cowboys who cut up those women, he can't pull the trigger. And I love that scene, the acting by Freeman. He just looks right over at Eastwood's will and he goes, I can't do it. It's gold. It's a hell of a scene.
If you like good, I can't shoot at people scenes, you should see The Big Red One.
I've seen it.
You have? Yeah. That's got great I can't shoot at people's, and Mark Hamill's got a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
Yeah, so he whips out his lightsaber and kills them that way.
And Gordon, have you seen The Big Red One?
I actually had it on my list for Tubi, but they took it off. So
wow, that's a movie I can watch.
Is that Samuel Fuller?
Yeah, it's his second
Okay,
to last
good.
movie, and I think it's his last released. No, Osterman Weekend was his last released movie. I
No,
think
Osterman Weekend, I think, was Sam Peckinpah.
Oh, it was Sam Peckinpah. Oh God, Butch is gonna kill
Yeah,
me.
Sam Fuller.
Know your Sams, Patrick. Know your Sams. But they're all manly men. I don't know who would have won in a fight. It would have been fun to watch Fuller, because he would have been
Fuller
sober.
would have.
He just would have pulled out a gun and shot him.
Yeah. Plus Peckinpah loved it. He loved his booze, so it'd be like one good shot from Fuller, and there you go.
Sam's not moving fast. Sam's not a fast moving guy. Keep your distance. Keep your distance, Mr. Fuller. You'll be fine. You got a ranged weapon.
Plus Sam Fuller. If you want to know the guy's fighting style, just watch Shock Corridor. That's it. This is a guy he's just going to be he's just going to be bare knuckle. It's going to be basically an MMA match.
It's going to be the end of ninth configuration.
Right.
Sam's just going to very efficiently clear it out. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead.
What's your favorite fight sequence in this movie? There you go.
Oh, they're all the same. I mean, they're all good. Yeah. I don't know. Is there a fight sequence that's better than the others? I always get sleepy during fight sequences and during explosions and special effects. That's when I sleep during movies, because it's all very predictable. I wake up when characters start talking to each other. I know that sounds snobby, but it's true. And that's, what made Godzilla -1 really a tough film to watch. Because I kept falling asleep to this Japanese dialogue and waking up, and I had no idea what was going on, but someone was being
I haven't watched it yet.
From what I saw of it, it's incredible. It deserves every bit of praise, given the fact that they have 10 bloody movies up for Best Picture every year. I think there's a good chance we might see Godzilla -1 among them. If they went there with Everything All at Once, and what was the thing about the people staying in the house? Was it a Korean picture about?
Oh, you mean Parasite?
Parasite, yeah. Yeah, I mean, so foreign language films getting Best Picture is not a foreign thing anymore.
No, it's not.
So Jewel, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What scene involving the use of pens in the movie is your favorite?
Your favorite pen scene? It's mightier than the sword.
And easier to write with.
Easy writer.
Well,
easy reader.
Well, Joker says he's gonna make a pencil disappear or something.
And he does.
So.
Was the Joker fetching as a nurse? How long was the Joker? Did the Joker maintain that identity? I think for a long time, for several months, that was actually the Joker's main job.
I think that's
was a good nurse.
That's actually, to me, one of my favorite costume get-ups in this whole movie.
Sure, it is.
I mean, they pull that off really well.
Well, I didn't see that part. That's a scene that was cut, but I've seen him in the outfit.
Yeah.
But I think he probably was very gentle with a catheter.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be crazy if he was like their best nurse? And they said, I just thought they're little fair skin. I thought they had a punk thing going on. They seemed like a nice nurse to me that patients liked. Sammy, Sammi. Could have gone.
Yeah, sure. Way. They were a little rough. They kind of overdid it with the lipstick, but
sometimes you just want to see a polyp burn.
Right.
So here's a question for you. It's not Batman related. Would you like to see the show Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction come back?
Only if it's played at 50%. Only if Jonathan Frakes is put at 50% speed, but the pitch remains exactly the same. Wasn't that the Jonathan Frakes show?
Yeah, good show.
Yeah, go look up Jonathan Frakes drunk on YouTube. Do it now, Jewel. We'll wait.
I'm doing it right now.
It's a minute of pure joy. And what they did is they slowed it down by 50%. They kept the pitch the same. So he didn't sound like this, but he sounds totally blitzed. It's really funny.
You should hear him on commentaries for select Leverage episodes.
I bet it's great. He's a funny man.
He also likes his booze.
Oh, and look at him. I mean, yeah. Yeah. So Frakes just asks these rhetorical questions, kind of.
Oh my God.
Well, Jewel, turn up the volume so we can hear some of this.
Hold on.
Yeah. At one point, I think Frakes even drops a trow.
No, stop that. He was sober, but he was made to sound drunk. It's very funny. You can do it with YouTube. Look at Jewel. We delighted him.
Oh my God.
Jewel's experiencing pleasure.
Yeah, we're exposing ourselves to new things. I mean, Patrick, you were exposed to Red Green.
Yes.
Jewel is exposed to Jonathan Frakes drunk. I don't know what I was. I think I was exposed to. Well, I'm going to have to ask my doctor for some penicillin.
Listen, here's the thing. So many times in writing the daybook, I almost wrote Jonathan Frakes instead of Jonathan Frid.
Well, let's see.
He would have been great on Dark Shadows.
Okay, actually, let's for those of you who are watching, if you're good with deepfakes, take some random Dark Shadow scenes, and just put Jonathan Frakes' face and voice over Jonathan Frid.
He'd probably be very good. Pensive.
By the way,
I mean, Jonathan, it would have been a Barnabas who had been eating very well.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I am going to leave a link to the description box of the drunk Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes. He's
so
magnificent.
So people can watch it and
magnificent.
Laugh their ass off.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's like bootleg video of a drunk Jonathan Frid, but I don't think that would be too interesting. I think he'd probably just be sitting in a corner, like nodding off.
I have a question for you guys.
I think Frid could hold his booze.
If you, okay, what did you guys think of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker?
I never saw it.
Oh, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Yeah, he's great. It is deserving of all of the praise it got. And there is a kind of a redeeming scene. It's the best scene in the movie. I'm going to spoil it. There's a little person who works with him at the clown company or something and has come by for something just as Arthur has killed someone really, like his landlord or something, really horribly in his apartment. And somehow the little person's in there with him. He's terrified. And he says, "Yeah, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me." And Arthur just says, "Why would I kill you? You've always been nice to me." And it's a very honest, interesting moment. And then the little person is still terrified, but trying to get out of Arthur's home. And Arthur's fine with him leaving, he's not his prisoner. And the little person can't reach the knob. And Arthur just reaches over and opens the door for him. And he's laughing with him at just this horrific situation that he knows this poor guy is in, and not at him. And it's just, it's prime. It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, great movie.
It really is. I think Patricia Clarkson plays his mother in that. I think, and she's just whoever it is who plays it. It's one of those actresses you've seen for years. I think it's Patricia Clarkson. She's terrific. The whole cast is very good. And it's a weird pseudo sequel spiritually to King of Comedy. It has much more to do with King of Comedy than it does Batman, in the best way, as every movie should.
You got to watch it, Gordon.
Did you ever see King of Comedy, Joel?
No.
Oh, wow. My God. Do you know about this film?
No, what is it?
It's a Martin Scorsese movie from the early 1980s. I think it's from 1983. And it's about a guy who's obsessed, played by Robert De Niro. A guy who's obsessed with becoming a stand-up comedian on television for the show that Jerry Lewis. There's Jerry Langford in it. Jerry Lewis is the host. It's a very Johnny Carson-like show, and he gets into the Carson character's limo, and the Carson character is very thankful because he gets a bunch of fans off him and so on, and agrees to listen to his audition tape. Well, he never listens to the audition tape, but Rupert keeps injecting himself more and more and more into Jerry's life until he ends up kidnapping him so he can appear on the show. But as scary as Rupert kind of is, it's sad and good-natured in its own weird way. But in some people have said it's the same story as Taxi Driver. It's just darker in a sense. But yeah, you will, if you've seen Joker, watch King of Comedy. A, because it's one of the best movies of the 80s. B, because you'll go, oh, that's it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely give it a check out.
You'll like it. It's very good.
Yeah.
It's one of Scorsese's best movies.
What to you is Scorsese's best movie?
Probably Goodfellas, I would say. He's a fine filmmaker, though. I mean, it's very hard to put a camera in that guy's head. Screws it up.
Yeah, that's a tough call for me, simply because there's so many good ones. It's like trying to find which one's the, I could say Goodfellas. I could say Taxi Driver. I could say.
Here's how you do it, Gordon. Here's how you do it. You just ask yourself very quickly. It's a psychological thing, that what's the first word comes out of your mouth when I say, it's almost like word association. So if you could only show someone one Scorsese movie and that's all they were ever going to see of Scorsese, they had taken an oath, and this would be it, which movie would it be? Just prime Scorsese.
Actually, I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to say Raging Bull.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Or as it was presented on a late lamented cable television show, Raging Bullwinkle. And you can actually find that on YouTube. So
now, Jewel, I don't know. Are you familiar with the Alamo Drafthouse?
No, I don't believe so.
It's probably the best movie theater in the country, and there are several branches of it, but the main one is in Austin, Texas. And they really do a lot for old movies, for 70s movies and stuff like that. And they have come out with 100 film list of movies they're going to screen, but only from very specific years, interesting years, like 1984 and stuff like that. And their films that they have that they're going to be looking at are really an interesting group. I was going to suggest that maybe we watch some of them in tandem, around the months that they're doing them, and talk about them. These are great movies, Jewel. I mean, you've seen a bunch of them. Because Alamo, do you see the list? I've got the list here. Hang on. The list is just magnificent. Okay, The Matrix. So for 99, The Matrix, being John Malkovich, She's All That, Cruel Intentions, The Blair Witch Project, Iron Giant, Election, Ghost Dog. 94, Pulp Fiction, Chungking Express, Clifford. That's an interesting choice. Serial Mom, The Crow, Clerks, The Three Colors Trilogy, Natural Born Killers, Cemetery Man, Reality Bites. But it goes all the way back to 1974. Godfather Part 2, Texas Chainsaw, Female Trouble, Sugarland Express, Steven Spielberg's first movie, Blazing Saddles, Parallax View, Woman Under the Influence. It's a really 79, Warriors, Apocalypse Now, The Jerk, Being There, Penitentiary, Mad Max, The Muppet Movie, Star Trek The Motion Picture, and The Brood. This is just a really, I think, cool list.
Yeah.
The phone.
Before
you die, you see the phone.
Did you know the Crow was actually ripped off of, right?
No, who was the Crow? The Shadow, right?
No. Actually, pro wrestling ripped off of the Crow. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine. Now a friend of mine is the former wife of the creator of The Crow, who apparently was married to someone else at the same time, and she did not know.
Wow.
Yeah. Another friend of mine who was at that weird 1992 Comic-Con, where everyone I ever met almost was there, but I didn't know them at the time.
I'll send you the clip of the how wrestling ripped off of The Crow, but yeah, WCW.
I can't believe wrestling would be unoriginal, artistically bankrupt. That's
actually. I'll say this: they were. There's. You ever hear the wrestler named Scott Hall?
Of course.
He was Razor Ramon, and well, in WCW, he went by his real name, Scott Hall, and he was one of the outsiders for the NWO. And there's a wrestler there named Sting, who was one of my favorite wrestlers. And Sting was wanting to change his character to a degree. He was losing his blonde hair; it was turning black anyway. And one day, as Sting's painting his face up, because that's what he did, he painted his face.
He can, yeah.
Scott Hall comes up to him and says, "Hey, yo, Sting, you ever heard of the movie The Crow?" And the rest is history.
They didn't like that, huh?
Well, no, they basically copied the character. I mean,
yeah. Well, so. I mean, these things happen. Somebody had to. Let's face it.
So, out of all three of these Batman movies of Nolan's, which is the best to you guys?
Oh, Batman Begins. I mean, there's no question to me on that. That makes its own gravy.
Yeah, Batman Begins is probably the one that, because it was such a departure from what had happened before, and it manages to tell a solid story.
Yes,
I think it's the most rewatchable one too.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. It's just, and it's finally a Batman movie, as I keep saying again and again, that's really not that dreary.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of The Batman with Robert Pattinson?
I need to watch it. I haven't really watched the whole thing. It looked predictable to me. It's like every scene that I kind of stuck my head in, I thought, oh, this is the scene where this happened. Okay. I think, from what I can tell, I hope this is as dark as it gets. That's, I mean, just personally for me, what I go to see Batman for is, I have to keep harping on Neil Adams. I go for what Neil Adams gave me in the 70s.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I've yet to watch it, simply because I kind of feel like DC has really done Batman to death.
I think my biggest issue with the movie is, and I don't know how much you've seen of the trailer. I feel the trailer spoils a lot of the movie.
I don't remember the trailer.
Then don't watch. Just don't watch the trailer. Watch the movie. Because that way, I don't feel it's a bad movie. They do a lot of detective stuff in the movie. Because the one of the villain is the Riddler with this. But at first, the way they tease Hush in this movie. They don't show him, but they tease him. And I think he's supposed to be the next villain in the next movie.
I have no idea who Hush is.
Hush was a surgeon named Thomas Elliot, I think. And he made himself look like Bruce Wayne, basically.
Yeah. The backstory is that Thomas Elliot was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne's growing up.
Yeah.
And Elliot had Elliot's parents died later on after Bruce. Elliot's mom had cancer and his father died in an accident. And what happened was, at one point, Bruce's father, because he's a doctor, helped Thomas's mom at some point. And Elliot always regretted it because he's a psychopath and he wanted his parents dead so he can get their affairs. So years later, he figures out that Batman is Bruce Wayne. So he made, he basically puts bandages on his face to, basically because he doesn't, the implication is he dressed up, he's disguised as Bruce Wayne, but essentially he pokes it at Batman to get him to kind of basically mentally break down. And Bruce defeats him by realizing that, hey, look, this is the guy who he kept doing the same things over and over and over again. He knows me a little too well. He's using the same things that this guy that my childhood friend Tommy did. So there you go. So he's kind of he's a newer villain.
Yeah, I know I know there's a whole Batman Hush thing. I just, after comic books cost 50 cents, I was out. Once they cost more than 50 cents, I was done with them. And I've read very few since then. I'm sorry to say. I'll read them as graphic novels sometimes when they're put back together, and I can get them for one reasonable cost. But there's just so much Batman stuff to keep up with after, Dark Knight. I just, I'm still contemplating reading the Dark Knight sequel. I haven't done it yet. How is it?
Oh, you mean the Frank Miller sequel?
Yeah.
Don't
That's
bother.
How far back I am.
Don't bother. It's bad.
Really?
It's bad. Everything after the Dark Knight Returns, it's not even like diminishing returns where it's not as good. Miller went from okay to scraping the bottom of the barrel.
That's too bad.
Wow. Guys, is there anything you want to add about the Dark Knight movie before we go?
It's dark and it's at night.
Yep.
Are we breaking his back?
Well, do you guys want to do The Dark Knight Rises tomorrow? Or?
I am motivated, since we only have 2 movies left in this, to actually have a reason to watch the Batman.
Okay. All right.
So if that means that at least I'm not going to volunteer Gordon for anything because it's his time and his schedule, but I will keep at this.
You notice, Patrick, you're being considerate and Jules laughing. Jules being sincere here, Joel. But yeah, I'll be upfront. I really didn't care for The Dark Knight Rises, so I will step back from that conversation. I just thought it was kind of basically it's basically I found it long and boring. So there's my contribution.
Interesting. We're gonna miss you tomorrow night.
That's fine.
So, but do check out the Batman. We hope you'll join us for that one at least. Because I do think you guys will enjoy that for the most part. Is there violence in it? Of course, there's violence in every superhero movie you watch. But it has a lot of physicality to it. The Penguin, I do like in the Batman, I do like how the Penguin is portrayed in that movie. I think you guys will too. So I'll see you tomorrow night, Patrick. Gordon, buddy, we hope to see you for the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And
take care.
Links are going to be in the description box for Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page and Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day Book About. Plus, I'm still going to leave a link to the drunken. Believe it or not, yes.
Jonathan Frakes, he's sober, but he's drunk.
He's sober, but
ponder that, people.
Yes. I'll see you guys.
Sniff wisely.
Bye.